This podcast is rated R for restricted. Under 17 requires accompanying parent or adult guardian.
We start talking about this movie now. All right. So
Yeah.
TC's
Okay.
sick.
What are we watching?
We're watching the 2002 movie, The Pianist, which is when we froze the list in 2016, the 43rd best movie of all time. It has moved up to the 33rd best movie of all time. So
Increased.
again,
Why?
more. Why, says TC? TC's sick.
Hey, that child
I'm
rapist
sick
knows
as a
how to make
dog,
movies.
ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, say what you will about the child rapist. He can.
I
make a movie.
I just gave Denny more work to do because he's gonna have to remove all my coughing.
That's right.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think
It's
about
okay.
that.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
ruining your
well,
microphone too, so that's good.
Fuck it, it's fine. I got two.
Who wants to go first
disposable.
on this one?
They're like Kleenex. Not me.
TC.
I'll go first.
All right.
So, The Pianist, yeah. So, I would characterize this as an interesting movie to watch. Not something you want to do on a Sunday when you're having a good time.
Doesn't go well with nachos.
No, guac and salsa is not this
How am I
movie.
supposed to edit it? You can't cough and talk at the same time,
No,
TC.
it's going to happen, bud. You just fucking let it go, just let it be.
This podcast listening experience is going to be as enjoyable as watching this movie.
Oh, yeah.
That's who he is now.
I'm just going to be hawking up loogies the entire
That's right.
time.
Well, it's all
I'm
part of
kind of
suffering.
like Brody when he was sick in the movie, right? I'm about that same position.
You got the
No,
facial hair. You probably need
no.
to eat more.
I would characterize this as a flat change arc. He doesn't do anything. Nothing changes for him. He just kind of survives the entire movie.
And in a way,
And
that's the point, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It
It's
took
a
me a
hard
while
mo-
to get. It took me a
Yeah.
while to get to that.
Who's
to
going
understand
first?
that.
Is it me or John?
No.
John has just been talking to children all day. He wants to talk to an
I'm
adult
sorry.
so bad.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
You go ahead. I'll sit on my hands.
That won't help you from stopping talking, but go ahead and do that anyway.
Something.
Yeah.
I just need to do something.
Right. I mean, it's probably better anyway. But no, I mean, it's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to write. It's a hard thing to show. Like when your character doesn't change, right? Like what else do you got? The rest of the movie has to change. And I mean, it starts out strong. It's pretty heavy hitting all the way through, except the end. End was strange. I don't know why I didn't like the way this ended, but it was just like some random. It's almost like they started that guy halfway through the movie just so they could do that last scene, but it didn't necessarily make the movie better or worse. Again, it just kind of happened. It's
You're
the whole
talking
movie.
the last
It's what-
scene being the scene where he's playing in the
Where
orchestra.
and the German guy goes out, is that the, what's his name or whatever from Poland? And he's the German soldiers in the camp. And he's asking for him. The one that gave him the jacket.
Right. Yeah.
Gotcha.
A half an hour before. I just don't know why, like, they had all these people saving him the whole time. And they didn't end the movie with the people that were saving him the whole time. Like, they built up all this stuff with all these
Right.
people, and then, like, you end up changing characters to this German soldier. And then I only think it's because they had the ending planned, which was like, the German soldier's going to swap places with him, and he's not going to be able to
and
save
that's
him.
a big deal.
And that's a big deal. But it
Right.
didn't land that way for me. I was just I'm like, what the fuck happened here? And I had not remembered that ending when I don't remember when I saw this movie, to be honest. It must have been years ago. And I didn't remember that being the ending for some reason. So it just, I don't know. This movie's tough because it's a linear thing that just keeps on happening. And really the whole thing is about survival, which in the end is all about the actual truth of the war, right? Getting through it. If you got through it, you're one lucky son of a bitch. And if you got through it and you're a pianist, I mean, yeah, that's something. But it was just, I don't know. This movie was tough. It's tough to watch. It's hard to fucking like want to be watching because you just know it's shit. Like if they're all gonna get a shit sandwich.
Right.
There's
and
nothing good
the
coming out of
events
this.
going on are realistic. And
Yes,
they
they are realistic.
You know that these things that are happening around this character
Right.
are things that actually happened.
Right.
And
Right.
it's So it's
And
just,
it's not like, I don't know. I think knowing the history, you're not able to be like, okay, what's going to happen next, right? Like we know what's happening next. They keep giving us the timeline. I'm like, oh fuck, here we go. We're getting close, right? So I don't know. I just had a tough time with this movie. Didn't quite like the ending. I did like Adrian Brody. I thought he did a really good job, just sort of avoiding all the bullshit throughout. I'm torn on whether or not I think this movie's good or if I don't. And I don't quite know if I like the flat change arc. I don't know if I like it. I think it's a tough one to want to watch because when you get to the end, you're like, oh, so he didn't really change. He just got through it. And that's amazing in itself, but it's not exactly the storytelling.
It's the point.
Right.
And in fact, like all the other characters seem to know that about him. They're like, you're the pianist.
Yeah,
that's
right.
Where he's like, I want to help, and like,
they're like, no, you stay inside.
You're not going to help.
We're going to lock you in.
Right.
Yeah, which so I mean, that's pretty much all I have. I don't really have too much else other than that, but it's a tough movie to watch, and it's definitely not for any kids. I would avoid watching this if you've never seen it with a family. This is something that you want to watch if you want to see some historical ideas of what might have happened on the streets of Poland when they were taking it over, but I don't know.
What did happen? We can get into it.
Oh God, yeah, that's fine. I didn't do any research here or anything.
I know. I'm just imagining people locked in, stuck, getting shot, right? And then there's the uprising and like all
ghettos,
that stuff.
Removed from their homes, taken off to concentration camps. Some left to just do labor, and then some trying to escape. I mean, all of that that's sort of portrayed in the film is
right.
But yeah,
and they did do a good job of that stuff. I thought some of those scenes were scary as fuck. The tank scene where they're blowing out the walls. I mean, that shit looked so fucking good. I mean, I don't care who you are, but they blew up some shit on those
They
scenes.
destroyed a part of Warsaw. They found a portion of the town that they were going to demolish and rebuild anyway, so they got permission to just destroy buildings. So they actually did all that.
I'm glad that you have all that trivia.
I was wondering the whole movie too.
That.
There was a lot of this movie that I think I would have appreciated more watching it this time again if I had known the trivia beforehand. Because I honestly thought Adrian Brody's piano playing was so good. I was like, they must have CG'd his head on somebody else's hands. They didn't. That was all him.
He was good.
That's amazing.
I mean, I knew it was him when he was doing it in the air, and his fingers actually looked right.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like you can't just fake that. Like he had the actual tempo down, and when he was playing, and he was moving up when it was moving up, and when it was, I'm like, this guy's got it.
Yeah.
And
a lot of the city shots too. I was like, this is like Matt painting or something, right? There's something magical going on here, but no, there's barely any CG. In this movie
when
at
he
all.
jumps over that wall and like all you see is all that.
So that was a little painted.
That had to be
okay.
some painting,
Okay.
but it was still pretty.
Still damn
it still
good,
looked
though.
pretty damn good.
Yeah.
It was an astonishing scene.
But they did destroy blocks of that town. So like that one shot was pointed out as one of the very few CG shots in the entire movie. Another one being the shot where the woman gets shot point blank in the head for asking a question. And the muzzle flash was CG because it was too close to fire off.
Wow, and they just I can see that.
Yeah,
but it was, and then there was
dangerous.
some removing of things. Like it was extremely minimal in terms of CG,
and it looked it.
Yeah,
it looked good. I mean, they really did a great job. There was so much good in the movie that it just you can't really watch it for story. I don't think it's not meant to be. It's meant to just show this horrific time. And
right. Well, and the other piece of it being that. Here's this. He's like a stick. The main character is just sort of thrust around, like he's not in control, and he's at the mercy of all these people around him, and that's a very different. Even in a war movie, that's often a very, as you said, like it's a flat arc.
Yeah. Do you know what it kind of reminded me of?
Trajectory.
We watched somewhat recently, Quo Vadis Ida.
Yeah,
I'm saying that right. Because all that movie is she's running around trying to do stuff and being stopped or being allowed to do it. Right. And that also is like a true story about war, right?
Is,
like
this
is all this is like a diary of this guy's life.
But she was she was a far more active. Like he is like he knows who he is in a sense too. He's
this
not
was
really
almost
trying.
journalistic.
He's not trying that hard.
Right?
This is based on one guy's true story that was written immediately after World War II.
But can we rewind back to when John just called Adrian Brody a stick?
Okay, I'll say that. Can I say? I thought his acting
6'1", 130 pounds.
It was so minimal. It was weird. It was almost like they were stylish. It was strange to me. Like the first half, maybe it's just because he's so good looking. I don't know. But even while they're suffering and everything, or maybe it's just because his eyes. You don't see much in his eyes. I don't know. But he didn't seem very expressive. It just seemed very strange to me. Like the amount of suffering they were going through, and a lot of the actors still look kind of stylish. And it was very, I don't know, it just seemed odd to me, even where I kind of laughed, which is really horrible, when he's running through the street crying after his family pushes him off. It's this hard cut to him crying in the street. And I thought was funny.
Oh God, John,
I'm terrible.
You're a horrible human.
I'm a horrible person. But all of a sudden, it was like hard cut.
Bad.
It's like, I'm sorry, I didn't think. I thought.
No, so Joe, want me to give you a little support here?
Yeah, okay,
I wasn't going to do
thank
this,
you.
but it sounds like we're going into this territory. I don't think this movie you should really criticize the flow of the story, like TC's saying.
Yeah.
I think it's not made for that. It's doing something else. But
and
that
the
scene right
of the
before
things that happen around was horrifying. The way they
but the
depict
scene
some
right
of
before the scene you're
cruelty.
talking about, I didn't think worked in terms of if we were looking at a movie as a movie, like the scene where the guy pulls, like this might have happened. That specific scene wasn't based on the reality. It was kind of a mix between Roman Polanski's history and this pianist's history. And I don't think they made it work. Like the scene where the German guy pulls him out and saves the one guy, and he's able to walk behind thousands of enemy soldiers out of the situation. I didn't. buy
it seems a little bit much.
Yeah, if you don't run,
like
then
there's
all
not
these
one
guys
other
aren't
German that's
see
gonna
you.
be like, "What the fuck you guys doing?
Yeah.
That's a Jew."
Everyone
right?
else
like,
is in German uniforms, and this is one guy trying to escape.
It was a little bit unbelievable, but at the same time, I hear you. I do. I hear you.
I mean, there are scenes throughout this movie that like it helps knowing that it was true, because otherwise I'd be like, I don't buy it. But it's like, well, it's true. So like it happened. So I guess I have to accept it.
It happened, but I still don't.
Right,
I feel like there are certain. Sometimes I just don't. I don't know. It just, again, parts of it seem stylish. That the characters seem so unruffled at times. But then towards the latter part of the movie where he's like starving, and he does that really well. I feel like he really is portraying that extremely well. And I found like the scene where he plays for the German really moving.
I did too.
That was like really, to me, the highlight of the film, in the sense of just showing his passion for playing still. Like, because, and again, that's sort of is almost like justifying this whole flat arc. He's the fucking pianist.
He's the pianist.
This is what he does.
Of course, him playing piano would get him out of the trouble. Right.
But also, this is what he does well. He's not really much for anything else, and everybody kind of knows that.
What they're saying there is that, like, at the end of the day, that trumps anything that's going on at war, right?
Because
like that skill set is above life.
He's not a hero. He's not particularly brave. He's just trying to survive, but he also has an amazing talent. And so
can't open a can for worth for shit. But,
I know, but those interactions, to me, that was like then I really felt involved. Before those scenes, I was horrified by the things happening around the character, but the character himself, I didn't feel.
And I think it's on purpose.
Strange.
It's
and
purpose.
Maybe it is.
It's on purpose. Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but when that can fell, I forgot about that whole scene. So the can fell, right? And the fucking thing's leaking water. I'm like, don't pick it up, you idiot. You don't fucking let the water go.
Right. But then the camera's like, well, here's why he's not doing that.
And the camera kept moving. I was like, so that actually did work really well on me.
And the actor, the guy who played the captain was really well done, because he didn't have a lot to do, and he still had to be somehow a little bit likable.
Why was he in the house? Was he playing piano
that's
first?
Their command center. That's their command center. He was like exploring it to be their
that area
headquarters of operations.
The area was.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. I guess. I assume. So he was just like checking the whole place out, and he's like,
why would the captain do that though? You send the fucking infantry to do that.
Because he saves people. So this guy is also based on a true guy, as you can tell by the end.
He was walking around looking for Jewish people to actually help.
He saved so many Jewish people throughout the war.
Really? I had no idea. No,
I see.
He did?
I see.
Yep.
But that wasn't clear. That wasn't clear.
No, it wasn't clear that
this was describe it.
No, in fact, if anything, the movie seems to almost make it seem like he's making an exception because he's so moved by the piano playing.
Right. So that is another problem I have with this movie. Like, it's called The Pianist. Everyone's like, oh, he survives because he has this passion for being a piano player. I'm like, I don't see that at all in the movie, right? He's surviving because he has a human instinct to survive in every situation. It's not like the piano ever
he just gets lucky that he's a piano player.
Right. I'm not even sure it even matters that he's a piano player, right? Because if he would have gotten help from this German guy anyway, being the piano player is just another addition that is just makes it more true to life, because this is, again, a true story. So
it's just, capricious. No, it has nothing to do with this piano playing in real life, probably, because I didn't know. In no way did I think this captain was somebody who regularly runs around trying to save Jewish people. It seemed more like he was moved by this one guy.
I think that's the way the movie tries to make it, to add some meaning to him being a piano
the
player.
character.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, right.
Because otherwise,
Yeah, no,
I mean, there's no
that's- I
scene where he has like a
completely
gun to his
interpreted
head
that.
and like a tiny piano to his other hand, and he's like, "Which one do I choose? Oh, I love the piano. I want to live."
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. But it
Yeah,
does
but-
complete the story
So
circle,
that
right?
that's a little annoying though to hear real life that and also
John coming out
annoying-
hot. The guy saved thousands of Jews, John. That's annoying. Come on, John.
No, also annoying that the captain himself was not given more, like that he as a character was not given the status he deserves as a hero.
Well, so that's a really good question. So when this book came out, it was banned in a lot of countries because of that, quote, good German character. It was an infamous
really?
character because people didn't want to consider any Nazis as
Like good
potentially good
people.
people,
Nazis, yeah.
right? So it was like
Yeah.
banned in a lot of places. So
Wow.
it could have been a consideration, where it's like, he's not that good. He just helped this one guy in the movie version. I don't know. I'm just
in
guessing.
the movie, but you're saying in real life, this guy
In real
helped
life, he
many,
helped a lot.
many.
Yeah.
Right. So
But what happened to the woman and the other guy, right? I mean, they just let them go away for good. They were like, all right, see ya. He got you through the fucking infection. Now we're never seeing you again. Bye-bye. We're bringing in the German fucking hero. All right? I don't know.
that's really too bad. I thought whoever the guy who played the captain has been in a ton of stuff. If
Has
you
he
look
really?
at his IMDb
I don't think I
page.
recognized him.
He hasn't had like large parts, but he's been in the Avengers movies. He's been in
Really?
Blade. He's been in a ton of stuff.
Is his name Michael Zabrowski?
Yeah. He's doing a ton of work even like now. He's got like a ton of films. No, Thomas Kretschmann. Isn't it Thomas Kretschmann? Yeah, Captain William Hosenfeld. That was the captain, right?
Yes.
So that's Thomas Kretschmann. And he's been, because I was really drawn to him as just, even though he didn't do much. I thought, but he's been in he's like got 11 upcoming films.
Oh, man. Good for
Anyway,
him.
he's just been in a ton of stuff. But he was, I thought his performance was really striking for not having much to say and very little expression. I just thought that to me, that was the highlight of the film, their interaction and him playing piano for him.
Yeah.
Even though it pisses me off, it sours it to know this other piece of the real history.
Just be happy that some people got saved because of him, John.
I know, I can be happy, but it's frustrating that a movie does not, just again, to take the narrative to be like, to try to say that it's the piano playing that turns the heart of this in this one instance when that's not true.
Yeah.
It wasn't that case. It wasn't the case. Anyway.
I really liked that interaction between the two of them when they were talking about the coat.
Yeah.
Because Brody was like, what do you mean you're going to give me your coat? Aren't you going to be cold? And he's like, I got a warmer one. Because that's the best thing you can say to be like, take the fucking coat, you jackass, right? but also recognize each other, and they had a moment. It was fucking
those were the
sweet.
most engrossing character interactions in the whole film.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that was going on around these characters was horrifying, but I was never involved in I never felt that much for the characters and their interactions throughout the film.
Well, because
other
they were
than-
building it up just to get to the fucking.
Maybe it was.
I
Yeah,
think,
yeah.
no, I think it was because he didn't have any good interactions when this was going on. I felt isolated watching this movie. I think every feeling you're feeling, all the negative feelings were done intentionally, is what I think.
Like that.
I mean, I thought they did all right when they had
Yeah.
the friend that was trying to band together and do the uprising. I thought that was good. Those were good moments because it gave you positivity that these characters might get out of this, right?
Right. No, but even I think Brody's character just seems so detached from everything.
I think in that situation you would be detached, right? Because you're
Right,
they're living
maybe.
in such extreme fear where at any given second you're afraid you're going to die, right?
Not
so
to mention the squalor.
yeah.
Maybe it's just that he looks just so detached and handsome. So maybe it's towards the end when he's
handsome.
all bedraggled and really messy looking that it starts working.
I thought so. I'm just gonna
Kinda true.
I'm gonna counteract your points here, John. I think it works because the slow way it rolls into, even though there's some hard time edits in this movie, it does kind of give you a lot of different introduction scenes where it's amping up the seriousness of the situation. It kind of gives you all of those things, and because of that, I felt like these people kind of get used to it as time goes on, right? And that's the reason that all this shit happened anyway.
But I'm more with TC where his character is kind of flat all the way
I
through.
think
Oh,
that's
it is.
likely. That's likely for everyone.
Until he was all bearded madman, which again I think he did really well. That was when he shifted. That was when he acted differently.
I didn't find him
But
acting
not
differently.
really.
No,
Oh,
he just
really?
looked
Not
different.
really.
Was.
Because all he did was, at the same time, all he did was escape still. He kept on escaping. That was
He
his
did.
character from the beginning, was avoiding the problems.
He was
right?
showing a lot more frailty then.
If they
Well, yeah,
were
at
gonna do
least.
if they
I
were
mean,
gonna do something
that was
about him
something more.
changing, it would have been now he fights.
No, I
Right?
know,
So
I know.
like he starts out not fighting and he ends fighting. That would be a change. This
Yeah,
is just the same thing all the way through, and it's on
but
purpose.
it's something different.
It's
The
flat.
frailty that he adds just seemed to.
It's also
make
the
him
hardest
seem
thing
much
to
more
do
human.
in film, mind you.
Yeah.
It's also the only point. I did have questions about like how he kept shaving during this period of time, but it seemed like whenever you're living, even in the ghetto, like you could
They
find
had
a
some
razor.
of that. It looked like,
Yeah.
yeah, I know. Because I feel like they showed some of that when they were all hanging out, that they were still doing some shit with their faces
Yeah.
and cleaning as best they could. And
If you wanted to blend in, that was probably critical. You know, if
Oh,
you
true.
did not want to stand out, you can't look like what he was looking like towards the end there, which is like, all right,
That's a good
obviously this
point.
guy's on the run.
yeah,
Right. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
God, he got lucky there at the end when he's screaming, "I'm Polish, I'm Polish."
I
I'm Polish."
I was like, this is too much. This is way too much. It's like he
Yeah.
finally got out and there's some fucking people are shooting at him. What the hell?
And they're like, "Fuck
Yeah.
you!" Right? I know. Like he went in like you hated, and then he came out hated.
yeah.
And there's nothing much you could do about it. And I was like, how did they know he was Polish? But then I thought about it. I'm like, you'd know if you're from
If
there.
you talk to him
you
and
would
look at
know.
him, he's not.
And
yeah,
the
you
beard.
would know.
The beard.
And the
He's
beard.
just-
It's
yeah.
just
Yeah.
the look.
Yeah, but
You'd
he's-
know a
yeah.
German from not. Right.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know if this has been clear, but your guys' complaints are all the reasons I think this movie is great.
I don't know if they're complaints.
It's
I'm not complaining.
Are you not okay? Well, you didn't enjoy it. And
Yeah.
I don't enjoy this either. I watched it once and I didn't expect to ever watch it again. And I will never watch
I
it
enjoyed
again.
the acting.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the editing. I
It's
enjoyed
mostly just
the,
unpleasant. It
but
seems
yeah,
like
I'm not so sure.
I think it's
enjoyed-
important for everyone to see. It's one of
Yeah.
those movies that, and I can go into how a lot of these scenes are like just almost all of this is real, save for some of the character stuff, I guess. Like they took a lot of news footage and they just copied it over for shots. Like
Oh,
one of the special
wow.
features was like, here's old news footage and here's basically a remake with new cameras and actors and stuff. And we
Holy
just
shit.
redid this whole thing.
That's
Jesus.
really crazy.
And a lot of the stories are documented in this guy's book, which was written right afterwards, and by all account is 100% true. There's like no parts of it where people are like, oh, well, this can't be all true because this one part isn't true.
Yeah.
By all
yeah,
accounts,
yeah.
it's 100% true. And then Roman
I
Polanski
mean, would you
also,
be an asshole and call that out though? I don't think anybody would. I
I
wouldn't.
think you would if it's,
I'm like,
if
it's
it's so
all true.
close to being
I'm not
true.
fucking with
If
that.
it's- yeah.
It's true. Yeah.
It depends. But also Roman Polanski was born, basically raised in one of these in the Krakow ghetto is where he was raised, and both of his parents were taken to different concentration camps, and his mom was killed in Auschwitz, and his dad survived.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So like his upbringing, freaking Roman Polanski's had one of the most fucked up and horrible lives you can imagine, right?
Is that why he became kind of fucked up
I
and
think
horrible?
so. I mean,
Probably.
he was raised in a concentration camp and escaped and had to hide for his entire
And
childhood.
then somehow became a
And
director.
then he became a director, and then then later on,
Had
his
to go
wife,
run
who was
and
pregnant with his
escape.
kid, got murdered at his
Holy
house.
shit.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
That's
he's
fucked
had it
up.
rough.
he's had it rough. And then all these things, which I was reading about this. He got some awards in Paris 2 years ago. He's still making movies. He had a movie come out in 2019 that he was getting awards for in 2020, and he didn't go to the ceremony because people protest him still. And he's denying the allegations
Because
now.
Well, wait.
Yeah, of course.
But he admitted that he had sex with the
confessed.
13-year-old.
Well, I was reading about this too. He put in a plea deal, admitting he was admitting he did the lesser of the two charges. One was like rape, one was sex with a minor, and he's like, plea deal for no jail time. I did the sex with a 13-year-old, but then the judge went, "Oh, that's denied. You have to come back, and we're gonna like put you in prison." And he's like, "Fuck that," and then he ran. So like. I
Right,
still think he
because
did
the
it,
judge-
And
right?
then,
the judge,
dude,
like,
people,
saw him,
people
like-
do
like
plead
carousing
guilty to
with other
shit they don't
women.
do to get a lesser
Like,
sentence all the time.
So that's what he's
I know.
saying. I totally don't believe him. But also, here's another thing that made me believe him. The person that he supposedly raped came out in support of him 2 years ago, saying not necessarily in support of him, but
No, she's
in
like saying she's not
countering the
supporting him.
protesters.
She's saying, "Can we just stop this? Can we stop all of this because he's sorry. I want to get on with my life.
No,
I want to stop being
no, that's
brought
not
up."
what she's saying. She's
What's
saying
she
if
say?
you want to stop things like this from happening, don't look 40 years into the past and try to get a famous person to stop. Stop what's going on now. Like focus on
Right.
things
Well,
that are
that's
going
fair.
on now.
That's fair.
I don't know if that's fair because I mean you should stop all of it, right? And
Yeah,
the high
but like
profile
something that
things.
happened 40 years ago is 40 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
fuck, man.
I mean, again,
I mean,
listen,
the guy who's a rapist.
Listen,
But
listen.
I mean,
this is
I know, it's true.
Polanski
It's true.
from
It's
a
true.
well-known from a 1979 interview saying, if I'd killed somebody, I wouldn't have had so much appeal to the press. You see, but fucking you see, and these young girls, judges want to fuck young girls, juries want to fuck young girls, everyone wants to fuck young girls. I mean,
He's not admitting to it. It's pretty
Dude,
close, but he's not doing it.
And there's a lot of places that fucking don't see it the way that America does.
Look, he's gone through a shit ton of he's been through a lot. He's an incredibly talented director. He had sex with a 13-year-old.
But I do think that if he murdered someone and that
gave
was
her
40 years
quaaludes along the
ago,
way.
people
I mean,
wouldn't be
so-
making a big stink of it.
Well, if he went to prison for it and actually did his time, people wouldn't be making a stink of it that much.
No, I'm saying
Anyway.
if he murdered someone and they figured out that he did it and then he couldn't get caught for it, they wouldn't be making a big of a stink out of it. Guaranteed.
Oh, that's fair.
I don't
guess.
think.
It's,
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's because it's just people are doing what
actually,
they should.
the murder thing,
They're trying to protect
no.
young
I would
people.
think the murder
Right? I mean,
thing
I get
actually
it.
would stick. I think
don't
that
know,
would still
dude.
be.
I don't know if
still
it
be
would, dude.
problematic.
With all the gangster movies that everybody loves and how all that works,
I know.
I don't know.
At the
I don't know,
Academy
dude.
Awards, when they talked about The Godfather being a film about family and honor.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, but I'm not backing him up. I'm not backing him up here. I mean, it's fucked up.
It's
right?
like
it's fucked up.
Just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know what. Again, you can.
That's a
you can-
crazy
anyway,
story,
You can
though.
separate the author of the work in this sense. It's not like a fucking Woody Allen film where they're all about relationships of old men with young girls here. So we're not seeing these themes or any kind of trying to justify these kinds of behaviors or anything in this film. This film has nothing to do with those sorts of things. So
Right.
you can make a clear separation here and see the film for what it is without having anything leaking in there.
Not to mention, if we went to the House of Representatives right now and we fucking looked 20 years ago, half of those motherfuckers would be having sex with young kids.
I don't know.
I swear to God, these people are all fucking liars. That's all I gotta say.
Well, I don't. I mean,
That's the point. The point that woman's trying to make is something that happened 40 years ago. Let's get the guy that's doing it today.
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
It's.
But with all that being
and
said, this movie.
She said things like she thinks he suffered enough. There's been enough consequences for him for
She's
what
not the
he did.
judge. She can't fucking say that.
I know.
Anyway, let's
I
move
know.
on.
That's fair too. But
Yeah,
I'm just saying
right.
when you say she defends him, it's not necessarily that. It's
Oh
just
no, she
like
probably
she's
just got paid. She's got to do
Well,
it
she
because
did get
she signed
paid.
something.
There were
Yeah.
settlements,
Yeah.
and there were several
Right.
court cases around it where
Right.
there was a
and
civil
the,
suit.
the quicker
and-
it goes away, the quicker she gets to
Yeah.
enjoy the money.
Well,
oh, it's
yeah,
terrible.
so I don't know.
All right, next
it's
topic.
It's just an uncomfortable subject. But he's also he didn't show up for his. He evaded the law. He didn't show up for his sentencing. He didn't
Fuck,
show
I
up for
would
his
too. I'd be
arraignment.
fucking out of there real quick,
Yeah.
especially if I didn't do it.
Well,
Fuck you.
I'm pretty sure 99%. It's weird how he's denying it these days because when we were doing Chinatown, we looked into it and he not only did he admit to it in legal terms, but he talked about, like John was quoting, he has other things too where he's basically admitting to it.
I like young girls.
You know what it is?
I like to fuck young girls.
These day and age, people just know that the Trump way works.
Just
keep
lie
saying
about
you
it.
didn't do it.
Yeah. Totally
Right.
works. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like I said, House of
So now
Representatives. Go down there and look at them 20 years ago. Fuck you.
I don't think you need to go 20 years ago.
But I think this movie, if we're kind of jumping from this topic, this movie is probably the best example I could think of where if you have trouble removing an artist's work from what they do, this is probably the best example of the easiest instance.
Yeah. This
of
one
doing
is easy,
right?
I thought. Yeah.
He's not an actor, so that helps. Like anything with Kevin Spacey, and it's probably going to be harder because you
That's
see him
true,
and stuff.
Right.
True.
Woody Allen is in all of his movies, so maybe it's just like an actor-director thing.
Well,
but I
not
also
just that, but then what it's about,
yeah.
like how far removed
But, like,
is this?
what
This
are
isn't
the
about-
topics
this movie
you're
isn't about
choosing to show?
sexual relationships.
Right.
This isn't
Yeah.
about, has nothing to do with, there's a little bit of a sort of like attraction early on in the film between him and another girl, but it's really not, there's not much made of it, sort of. But yeah.
I don't know. It's tough. I just assume I forget who the director is and just focus on the movie.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'd never watch movies.
I don't have very much else to say. This movie has, I just generally, I think, like I said, I think earlier, a lot of flaws when it comes to, if this wasn't a true story and I went through and like tried to enjoy it like I would a movie, it's not enjoyable. I don't think it's put together particularly well. The storyline doesn't flow particularly well.
Yeah.
There are a lot of unnecessary scenes for what's going on, but none of that matters because all it is like a journal of things that actually happened. So,
Right, I agree.
because that's true,
yeah.
and I think that makes it like this
That
is
makes it
the
immensely
scariest,
impactful.
like one of the scariest ones. Right? I'm trying to compare to all the other World War II movies we watched. Like Come and See was pretty damn scary, but that was
Come
like
and See
surrealistic,
is
right?
Still very frightening, and very
in its
similar
own
in the
way.
sense of people being battered around by the events around them.
Right.
without having
But this
control.
movie is so
Yeah.
so flat and plain and bland and scary that
I know.
like it just seems every scene of horror seems just like totally real and not spectacular, not Hollywoodized. You know,
No,
it was just
that
like
scene where
this
the
is-
woman gets shot in the back. I mean, what the fuck, man?
the scene where the little kid was trying to crawl through the fucking wall and people were just
I know,
kicking
and
him on the other
people
side.
grabbing him on
Yeah.
the other side. I know, Jesus fuck.
There are so many
Christ.
scenes like that in this movie, and it all seems like misery porn or whatever you want to call it. You know, it's like, yeah, of course it's going to be horrible, but it's also important to like document it and get a little taste of the horribleness of what actually happened. So that way,
Right.
like you can sympathize with everybody and being very opposed to this sort of thing. Like I think that's pretty
Yeah.
important too.
Right.
I think the movie,
right.
this movie does that extremely well.
It does.
It does, and maybe even better because of the way what TC called the flat arc of the protagonist, sort of like that. This isn't a film about a hero. You know, it's
Right.
not a film.
He's wandering
about,
around
like,
and seeing the sights, basically, right?
Yeah, kind of right, and he's sort of almost doing it in almost and as you say, I mean, maybe it is the way it happens. You end up being kind of detached and dazed, you know, because he certainly
This lasted for years. Like you can't
Yeah,
look
right.
scared all the time, right?
It's fair. That's totally fair, I think. But it still was. Maybe it is just he's so handsome. So he's just good looking. Maybe he was less good looking.
I mean, when he's playing
better.
piano, he's got the slick back with the, you know,
Sorry,
yeah,
maybe
right.
that's why it's like it's just still he's still and again, you know, he just still looks so stylish. So it just sort of to me takes away from that a little.
Oh, he's your average stick, really.
Yeah, well, he's he's a good looking stick. That's a
You're
fine stick.
You're a good
there.
looking stick, kid. You're
Yeah.
a good looking stick.
Yeah,
He's got the really
so-
long head.
So,
Yeah, he's a
So
good-looking
maybe
stick,
that's still,
I'll
to me,
tell ya.
that still sort of removes it, but it still just makes it the things going on around him just as horrifying because of how it's done. It's just such
Yeah.
a strange. It's such a different film that way. Because even like Come and See, you really were with the protagonist. You were with the people that were trying to survive and struggle. And I think it was just different in this film where it's really. I just feel detached from the main characters
I
in a
think
way.
it's
almost.
because I think it's because the acting and the way the dramatic scenes are done aren't done that
Yeah.
well. Like in the
Maybe
scenes
so,
in the beginning
maybe.
where it's
Could
with his
be.
family, I'm like, I don't care about this. Like I know what they're
Right?
trying
Okay.
to do. No,
See,
but
yes.
I think it doesn't matter because it's a document that's not supposed to be entertaining and it's not supposed to convey
Right.
characters. It's like this is the bland thing that happened to this bland. Like they love each other and all this
Music
stuff, but they're just like
family,
a
though.
family. Right? They're just like
Right,
a
right.
regular ass family.
Right, this
There's
isn't-
nothing
this isn't
special
a
story wise
hero.
here. The only thing special that happens is this one guy survives all of this shit. And that's all we're gonna show you.
And this isn't like even like Saving Private Ryan or whatever, where you've got characters that are like hero characters or charismatic, or you're still putting these characters in the film that sort of have, you know, something to them that doesn't seem just like mundane, I guess.
And I think it's
And-
I mean
and
one of
so,
the things I feel about it too is like, you know, Roman Polanski, it's kind of a semi-autobiographical a little bit, right? Like a little bit.
Yeah.
Some of the scenes
True.
he put in there. And
Like he's writing what he knew.
He's writing what
in
he
a
knew,
way.
but also he
Yeah.
feels guilty. He has the survivor's guilt, right? Like he didn't do anything special to survive, yet he wandered through the situation, you know,
Yeah.
not doing anything and surviving. So like that's
And in
that
a
was
way,
his
so it's
experience
almost like
too.
you're not like there to make that guy. You're not necessarily making him look bad, but you're not there necessarily saying, "Here's our hero, here's our good guy, here's our guy you root for," or whatever. He's just
Right.
sort of like again the stick in the river or whatever. You know, he's just there.
Oh, is that what you were trying to say?
Is that a phrase?
carried along
Is
by the
that
flow?
a statement, a phrase?
Yeah.
Does someone
It's
actually
just
know what that's
dust
from?
in the
Or-
wind,
Is
dude.
this stick in
Dust
the river?
in
Is
the
the
wind.
stick floating in the water? Or is it stuck in the mud?
Are you talking about a canoe?
It's carried
or
along
what?
by the
I don't
current.
understand.
It's a stick carried along by the current.
Yeah.
That's a new one, John. That's a new one to me.
I'll coin that one. That's me. That's me. I got
Stick
it.
in the river. No, I think it's a
Stick-
stick in the
stick
mud.
in the
I think it's a stick in
river.com.
the mud. I think it's
I'll create a book around
Yeah,
this.
that's not a saying, John.
Hey, stick in the
I
river.
Googled
That's
it.
me now. I got
stick
it.
in the river. It's Adrian Brody. You didn't know that? Come on.
All right, I hate it. I was
So,
not
yeah,
happy
I mean,
to watch
this was,
this one.
Imperfect
that,
movie,
you
but
know-
essential viewing, right? That's what I think.
Yeah, it's
you
for
should
what
watch.
for what it does
Without
and,
kids
and what it how it shows their life and then how it changes in episodes, going from where they are at their home, where he's at, from the movie where it gets going, where he's playing piano and they get shelled,
Yeah.
And then them moving to the ghetto, then his family. So, I mean, the way they show the progression of the occupation is impressive.
I mean, it's
terrifying.
a lot of years to cover.
Yeah, and it's
You know?
it's flat out. Again, the scenes of casual violence is just terrifying and awful. There are numerous of those where like they would call people out from the line and then shoot them in the head.
I know,
As they
that
lie
was,
there,
that
and
was
everybody
scary.
had to be like fucking submissive. Everybody was just submissive.
And they didn't even like, some of them weren't even scared anymore. They were just so beaten down by it, looked like, right? They made
And
that
what would
very
you do?
clear.
I mean, you run,
Yeah.
you'll get shot anyway. So
Maybe torture.
It is.
So maybe getting shot in the head is better than whatever the fuck else. Maybe
I mean,
someone's trying to
honestly,
run
it's
before.
almost
you're
like a
you're
fucking
like starving
gift.
and
You're right.
tired. So like
Yeah.
whatever. But
I
oh
know.
man, Jesus! Another shot too, like the scream that gets cut off as they close the train door.
Yeah.
Like his
Oh,
sister
yeah.
screaming. That was terrifying. There are many small moments that around this that are just awful.
I mean, it must have been terrifying just to act that out.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Jesus. I don't know, guys. I don't think I'll be watching this one again.
No, definitely not.
No.
Uh,
Thanks list.
no.
But it
No.
is definitely, yeah.
I mean, if it keeps going up in the list, that's impressive.
It's understandable. I don't disagree with where it's at.
All right. Trivia
All
time.
right.
What do you think?
Yeah, what do you got?
So there was a behind the scenes. It's called The Story of Survival. Roman Polanski was in it a lot. So was Adrian Brody and some other people.
How does Roman come across?
He's got a pretty thick accent.
Okay.
Not that matters, but like the way he talks, I think he seems very intelligent, mostly because of how stilted his manner of speech is, kind of like.
What makes him sound very, how you say, smart.
Yes,
Very-
the way he like pauses and really
very-
considers his words
very
makes him sound
thoughtful,
very
yeah.
smart. And he might be. I mean, he's made some of the best movies ever. So I mean, at least he's talented in movie making. So he came across good. You know, he came across as like he described what he wanted to do and he did it. And yeah, this is his favorite movie, is what he said. If he was like to be buried with a reel of film, it would be this movie out of all of his movies.
I mean, it's closest to him, I bet.
Yeah.
It's meaningful too. It's
Mhm.
meaningful. Like it just,
So the reason, so what they did is, you know, while filming this movie, they looked at a lot of stock footage. There is a lot of stock footage from everywhere during the war, but like there was a lot from the Warsaw ghetto, and he was curious on how they got all this footage. And they found one reel of film that had another German. They're like standing on top of cars with a camera, and they're just filming another guy filming the scene.
oh.
So like German soldiers would drive around in cars, and you know, Roman Polanski's guess was like they were making their own masterpiece, is what he said. I think they were just like they were loving it and they were filming it, thinking they
Like
might
this
be
is
famous
great.
or
Look at how
something.
we're torturing
Yeah.
and murdering people. This is
Yep.
awesome. We need to get this all down because this is, our kids are going to love this.
So there is a shot in this movie during one of the crowd scenes where you can see a car with German cameramen on top. I didn't notice it, but
Oh,
they
wow.
pointed it out. It was like during a very busy crowd shot, so they threw that in there to make it more real. A lot of the shots, like they were kind of transitional shots of people walking through the town over the little footbridge they built there. You know, just like the mass crowd shots. Most of those
Yeah.
shots were taken specifically from either famous photos or like just non-famous photos or video footage. They basically recreated historical shots just to represent the town like exactly like it was. And they did a compilation of like, you know, this is what it was. This is how we did it over and over again for different shots. And it was basically the exact same. So that was,
Wow.
use the word cool, you know, I don't know what else to use. It was
Well, it just
well
why
done.
it seemed so real. It just
Thoughtful.
seemed so. It was so impactful because the way it just
Yeah.
and it was always again the way this film works in that it's not like the film's like pulling at these shots and going, ooh, look at this. It's always like around the character, like it's happening and the character's observing it and you're observing it with the character, but it's not like the camera's going in going, wow, now look at this audience.
Mhm.
It's just
Right.
showing it as if this is what's going on around him.
That was obviously, as you could guess, that was
Intentional.
entirely
Yeah.
intentional from the
Right,
cinematographer.
right.
That was planned.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so terrifying, I think, too, is that it's just like it doesn't feel like it's dramatized. It doesn't feel like it's there for your, like, oh, we're going to get this angle to make this even more upsetting or whatever. It's more like here's this guy just trying to survive and all these things are happening around him.
Yeah.
But then all those things are done so terrifyingly that it's just, it's pretty startling. It's pretty awful.
And they did it so the color scheme of the movie got more gray and black and white towards the end as it
Makes
progressed.
sense. As things blow up.
Mm-hmm.
And
They filmed a lot of it in Warsaw. They rebuilt the ghetto walls around certain areas. They rebuilt a lot of this stuff because most of the old buildings and things like that, they don't exist. So they redressed the outsides. They rebuilt the walls. For the destruction parts, they redressed the buildings to be demolished and then demolished them. So they looked old after they were demolished.
Huh.
The people in Warsaw fully supported the entire filming. They were worried that like having shootouts, having explosions, all this stuff going on, like in the part of Warsaw that they lived would like freak the neighbors out or whatever. But everyone kind of learned what was going on, what the movie was about. And they were like, fuck yeah, document this. We'll tolerate noise at night. We don't care. Go for it.
wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. The woman getting shot for asking a question, that was from Roman's memory. That happened to him. He saw that happen. The person getting slapped by the officer and being told to get into the gutter, that happened to his father. So that was put in there. So what really happened to Roman Polanski was he had a name for it, but I forget. It was in German, I think. But it was the yard they corralled the Jewish people in before they shipped him off to a concentration camp. A child, Roman Polanski, was in one of those things with his family waiting to be corralled off. And he had a friend that his parents took in because his friend's parents both got sent away. So they both died. So they took this kid in, and it was him and his like friend kind of, and they went to a German officer at the edge of this like fenced in concrete wall area. And they lied and they said, we haven't eaten in a couple of days. Like, can we just run home and get bread and we'll be right back? And the German officer looked around and said, okay, he was going to let the kids get away basically. And they got out and they started running. And the German soldier said to them, don't run, is what he told them. So then that was also put in the movie because of Roman. So they ran away. They escaped to the countryside. They lived in the countryside for a while. They went to France eventually. So they were in like the Polish countryside for a while and then went to France. So that's how they escaped.
Jesus.
Adrian Brody went down to 130 pounds. He's 6'1". It's pretty skinny. That was the lowest weight.
Really skinny.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
He's typically
Holy
160
shit.
though. So that's still skinny for a
I mean, I'm
certain-
173. I'm 173, and I can't imagine dropping 40 pounds.
Yeah. He ate 2 hard-boiled eggs for breakfast, chicken for lunch, and fish and vegetables for dinner.
So no carbs, all protein.
Yeah.
Wow.
All the cold you see in this movie, the cold breaths and all that stuff is real. And Roman Polanski would get pissed if any of the crew members tried to bring in heaters in any of the buildings they were shooting in because he wanted the cold as much as possible.
No, again, the scene, it was another really effective part of the where he's playing piano.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was really sort of sad that's where I was really enjoying the film for the character parts of it, because that's where the film stops doing all the other things that it was doing as far as showing you all this terrible things happening around him and show him and the character interactions. But that was also just really amazing, like his breath and being able to see that as they're talking. It's
shit. Being able to play the piano in the cold. Fuck you.
I didn't know what was going to happen there.
Right.
I didn't know like if he was going to be shit at it and then.
That wouldn't be such a good movie, would it?
I know. Yeah. Well, I thought the German officer was going to break his fingers or something. I didn't know because everything was going so badly up till then. Like, Jesus.
Right.
So TC's going to love this. Once Adrian Brody got the role, he wanted to put himself in as real of a position to relate to his character as possible. So he got rid of his apartment, his car, all of his phone lines, all of his music. And all he did since he got the role was starve himself and do piano lessons.
And right? That fucking song. If I never hear that song again.
I heard that just like, all right, I'm gonna relate to people that lived through the Holocaust, so I'm gonna sell my car. All right, now I got it. I'll be good. This will be fine.
Jesus Christ. I see why you said I'd like it.
Yeah.
Because I don't. Right, exactly. Wow. I mean, that's just what actors do, man.
That's true.
You know?
So I was confused by this and I looked it up. So they said during these special features that I can't pronounce this guy's name. It's Wladyslaw Szpilman. I really apologize. That's the main character's real name. Adrian Brody's.
Wladyslaw Szpilman.
Wladyslaw. Right? You're looking at it?
No, I'm not.
It's the letter W, the word lady, and the word slaw. That's his first name.
Wladyslaw
Wladyslaw
Szpilman.
I'll stop trying.
Yeah.
But where was I going with this? Oh yeah, they said during the special features he was on set, and then I looked up when he died. He died in 2000. This movie came out in 2003. But apparently they had some of the sets built during pre-production, and he was able to come to pre-production for this movie.
Nice.
But we never get to see it, which is too bad. But
That is.
he was involved in the making of it, and that's all I got.
Wladyslaw. That's it. Wladyslaw. In Polish. I'm listening. Listening to the pronunciation.
Huh. Wladyslaw. That's
No,
pretty
it's
off.
it's Wladyslaw. Like that.
Wladyslaw.
Yeah, because the L's aren't the same. They don't sound like we have it in America.
Okay.
In English.
Well, good. I learned nothing. Thanks, DC. That definitely won't stick
Oh,
in my
you
head.
learned that that's not, yeah, it's Wladyslaw.
I already knew
it's
that
a lot
I was
easier
saying
to
it
say,
wrong.
isn't it? It's a lot easier to say. Wladyslaw.
Maybe.
Yeah. It's
Top
not
two-
Lady Slaw.
top
I'll tell you that
250?
much.
Now I'm hungry. Damn it.
Coleslaw,
Lady-
Slipknot.
Man slaw, lady slaw. Those are the three types of slaw.
That's right.
Top 250?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Plus, I really like Adrian Brody. So,
Yeah. This is like his breakthrough role right here.
I mean, I imagine that's why he went through all that. I'm going to sell my car. I'm going to do all this. Like, it's big. It's huge.
Yeah.
Right? He was like, this is it. This is my thing.
This is a good career move. You know, he won the Best Actor Oscar. Youngest person at the time to win a Best Actor Oscar.
Plus, he was going to get a
how
new
old was
car
he then?
anyway.
He's 29.
He's going to get a new car anyway, right? That fucking paycheck was going to be nice.
That's true.
You know?
It's a good career path. You win a Best Oscar in your first big movie, and then you just do all of the Wes Anderson movies.
Yeah, then
Nice.
you're good. You're all right.
Yeah.
Then you're good.
All right. So next week, guys, we have some options.
What are we
Okay.
watching?
So
What's the happiest one?
I think
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right.
That's a good point, John. What is the
The
happiest
next
one?
list movie is The Departed, but we're doing bonus episodes,
The
right?
Departed.
Oh,
We're
The
doing The
Departed.
Departed, kid.
Well, let's do the
It's
bonus
Departed.
episodes because it is
All right,
Oscar
all right, what
season.
is it?
We don't know what the Oscars are yet, but there are two front runners for Best Foreign Picture that are free and streaming currently. And then there's one movie that is probably going to get a Best Picture nomination and Best Actress nomination and stuff
wow.
that is also available for rent. So
Okay.
the American one is Tar with Cate Blanchett.
Oh, right. We wanted to watch that already.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was pretty
that
good.
one sounded good.
Yeah.
But it looks serious.
I know.
The other one is All Quiet on the Western Front, which is a German movie produced by Netflix. It's supposed to be very good.
I
But is
started that one.
also a war
Very,
movie.
very
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I started that one. I
Oh,
wasn't
that
too
movie,
into
that
it.
whole. I mean, that book is a real.
So we're going
downer.
with number 3, guys.
I mean,
you ready for this? We
what
haven't
is
done
this
this in a
one?
long time.
What's
It's
this
an
one?
Indian movie, RRR.
Oh yeah.
Oh, all right. Is that Amir Khan?
No.
No.
Some people have said
this
it's the best action
action-packed-
movie that's ever been made.
Okay, RRR it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like 3 hours long, I think.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
But-
okay. On the Western Front or whatever is long too, right?
I watched the trailer and it looks absolutely insane and it's getting a lot of awards and stuff.
Okay,
so
we're doing that. RRR it is.
Let's do RR. That's fine.
Sweet.
Very cool. Very cool.
that's it.
All right.
Yeah.
I can't do Timmy because I'll just break into cough.
Timmy's dead. You killed him,
Poor
Cole.
Timmy.
Right, that's it.
That's pretty good.
And there we go.
All right. Feel better, TC.
All right, people.
Yeah.
Talk to
Have a
you
good
next
one.
week.
All right. Take care, guys.
Stop 'em.